I'm the Reverend Dr. Jeff Hayes. This is video number 1 in the series, The Urgency for Adaptive Reform. Please pardon my scruffy appearance. My wife Nancy and I are backpacking on the Appalachian Trail, and so I haven't shaved for a while. We're in Pennsylvania, headed south toward Virginia. Let me give you a little bit about my background. I have a BA from Maryville College in Religion. That's Maryville College in East Tennessee. I have a Master of Arts in Bible from Yale Divinity School, a Master of Arts in New Testament from Candler School of Theology, a Master of Divinity from Columbia Theological Seminary, and a Doctor of Ministry from Princeton Theological Seminary. Now I'm telling you this not because I'm bragging, though I am very proud of my educational accomplishments. I'm telling you this so that you'll perhaps give more credence to the argument I'm going to make in these videos. I've studied long and hard about the issues which I'm going to talk about. I am a minister in the Presbyterian Church USA, a fact of which I'm very proud. I was ordained in 1996, and since then I have served 5 churches, 3 of them full-time, 2 of them part-time. Since 2008, the year I received my Doctorate of Ministry, I've served churches part-time so that my principal duties may be to investigate the causes for our denomination's decline. This is an auspicious time in the Presbyterian Church USA, and not for the right reasons. When I was first ordained in 1996, I was shocked to learn that our denomination's decline can be traced quite safely to January of 1963. At the time in 1996, I honestly didn't believe that we would come to this point 50 years later and having our decline not only reversed, but our decline having accelerated, it seems like, in the past several years. For each of these years, on average, since 1963, more than 30,000 people have left us than have joined us. 50 years of decline. And so I want to speak about that. Brian Garish, in his article, The Reformed Habit of Mind, lists 5 characteristics of what he calls the Reformed habit of mind, 2 of them, which I want to speak about briefly. The first one is that the Reformed folks, like myself, are very respectful of our traditions. Now, when I say tradition, most of us usually think about our history, what we remember personally, and that becomes the traditions that we respect. However, those of us in academic fields know that we have to respect a much greater tradition, going all the way back to our founder, John Calvin, and coming forward. Brian also said, a second characteristic is that we are critical of our traditions, not in the terms of vulgar criticism, but in lifting up our traditions to critique, that we do not accept our traditions without passing them through the rigor of critique. And this is one of the things that makes us very reformed. Now, in my experience with our church, the Presbyterian Church, we're very good at respecting our traditions, particularly of the last 50 years, the ones that most of us remember, but I don't find that we're that good at critiquing our traditions. Instead, it seems like those of us who serve the Presbyterian Church USA, whether at the congregational level or the Presbyterian level or the Synod level or the General Assembly level, are very reluctant to look at our roles critically in light of our denomination's decline. It seems like we're much more willing to grant ourselves a pass based on the faithfulness of our service. And I know a lot of faithful people in the Presbyterian Church USA, congregants, elders, pastors, deacons, execs, stated clerks, synod execs, committee members and chairpersons at the Presbyterian level, General Assembly folks. I know a lot of faithful people in the Presbyterian Church USA. But in spite of that faithfulness, particularly in spite of our faithfulness, we need to be critical of our traditions. Now, for my Doctor of Ministry project, using the Princeton habit of mind, I took a very rigorous theologian, Paul Tillich, his systematic theology, and combined it hand to hand with Irenaeus Abel Ibisfeld's human ethology. Human ethology is a subdiscipline of evolutionary studies that tries to investigate we human beings and find out what in ourselves is adaptive. What have we inherited genetically from our ancestors that is adaptive for us, that makes us so successful as a species? Now, in evolutionary studies, adaptation is a formal matter. A species success or a species unsuccess, a species growth in exploiting an environment or its decline is based on formal matters, physiology. A good example are pandas. A panda has evolved to subsist on one plant, bamboo. A panda can't eat anything else and survive. Consequently, pandas are endangered because the supply of bamboo is dwindling. Well, the pandas can't do anything about it. The only thing they can eat is bamboo. So when all the bamboo is gone, all the pandas will be gone. The bamboo is disappearing too fast for the pandas to adapt to another food source. See, that's a formal matter of adaptation. Now, I apply this to organizations, and I understand that organizations are not species, even though I'm happy to embrace a multi-level selection theory that says that evolutionary selection operates on groups or species and not just on individuals. Applying it to organizations is a bit tricky, but I think it's helpful. Any model we apply is not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to show us some things. And the advantage of an evolutionary model is that it's very rarely applied to church studies. And I believe it has a lot of insights to offer us. So that's what I do, is I take a good in-depth scriptural knowledge, a good grounding in theology, and combine that with evolutionary studies to try to understand why the Presbyterian Church USA has declined for 50 straight years. The conclusion of this is that our good old church is maladaptive. Maladaptive. The critical issue that has faced our church for these last 50 years is this: more people leave us than join us. If I were looking at a species and seeing the numbers dropping steadily and steadily, the conclusion would be that species has become maladaptive to its environment. PCUSA in the same way, applying this evolutionary model, has become maladaptive. The central problem: more people leave us than join us. Over each of those years, we have had a good number of people join our church. The problem is they've been outnumbered on the average of 30,000 a year by the people who leave our church. So that's the central problem. More people leave us than join us. Here's the central question that I want you to ask. And it comes from Ronald Heifetz's Leadership Without Easy Answers. Heifetz says this, that organizations face dilemmas all the time. And Heifetz is primarily concerned with leadership. And he says that most of the issues that face an organization in its past history or in the expertise of its members has techniques developed to address those issues, techniques that have been proven to work. However, sometimes an organization faces an adaptive problem. Now, an adaptive problem is one that cannot be solved by the techniques that the organization customarily uses to solve issues. An adaptive problem requires experimentation. It requires leadership that is willing to hold people in the uncomfortable place of realizing that we don't have a ready-made solution to the dilemma, and that some things are going to be lost. But the benefits is that should the organization adapt to this adaptive challenge, it will flourish. To try to get at this, I want each one of us to ask this question. If you look at the roles and responsibilities in an organization, going from leadership to followership, everyone who participates, all of those roles, duties, and responsibilities together make an organizational form. A form. Each organization has a form. Most often these show up in org charts, but they're a puzzle crafted from the different duties and responsibilities of the top-level management all the way down to the consultants or the part-time employees. That's how an organization gets its form. So all of us in the PC USA, I want us to ask ourselves this question. Do the responsibilities and duties of my role lead to more people leaving us than joining us? Now again, let me say this carefully. This is not a matter of faithfulness. I'm not trying to impugn anybody's faithfulness. I know a lot of faithful people, but here's a deep irony. If we are in a maladaptive organization, and if the duties and responsibilities of our roles in this maladaptive organization lead to more people leaving us than joining us, the more faithfully we fulfill our roles, the more faithfully we pursue our duties and responsibility leads more, rather than less, more toward more people leaving us than joining us. You see? We can be as faithful as we can be. We can be very faithful, trusting God, trusting Christ, trusting the Holy Spirit, faithfully, every jot and tittle of our duties and responsibilities fulfilling. And if our organization is maladaptive, that will lead to more people leaving us than joining us. That's a terrible irony, isn't it? So this is what I want us to do, to start this conversation. If you're a pastor in a congregation, ask yourself, do the duties and responsibilities of my pastorate, the way I perform them, lead to more people leaving us than joining us? If you're a church musician in a congregation, do the duties and responsibilities of my role lead to more people leaving us than joining us? If you're an elder, a deacon, a clerk of session in a congregation, ask yourself this question: do the duties and responsibilities of my role lead to more people leaving us than joining us? If you're a congregant, if you're a member who faithfully goes to church each Sunday, sing in the choir, serve on a committee, or just show up Sunday by Sunday, or every so often show up, ask yourself, do the roles and responsibilities of my membership lead to more people leaving us than joining us? And if you're a presbytery exec, or an associate exec, or a stated clerk, or a treasurer, or if you serve on a division of presbytery, if you're a committee chair, if you're a committee member, ask yourself this: do the roles and responsibilities of my service to presbytery lead to more people leaving us than joining us? The same way, if you're a synod exec, if you're on a synod committee, if you're a synod clerk, or if you're at the General Assembly office, if you're one of the many people who work serving our church nationwide, in whatever role you serve, ask yourself this: does the role that I serve, as I faithfully fulfill the duties and responsibilities of my role, lead to more people leaving us than joining us? If you're in other churches, a mainline church, an evangelical church, whatever church, and your church is declining, I don't care what type it is. Ask yourself this question. Do the duties and responsibilities of my role lead to more people leaving us than joining us? And that's the first step. We start by critiquing our roles, looking at them carefully, and asking that question. The answers are not apparent. If Heifetz is right, this is an adaptive problem. It will take experimentation. And honestly, I have some ideas about what we can do about our decline, at least in the Presbyterian Church. Here's the catch. They've not been tried anyplace. I am very eager to see them tried someplace. So thank you for listening. I will thank you further if you're willing to ask these questions of yourself. Again, you are faithful. I know it. You serve diligently and hard. The decline of our church is not a matter of our being unfaithful. It is simply a matter of our having an organizational form. Let me take that back. It is complexedly a matter of our having an organizational form that is maladaptive and has been for 50 years. Thank you so much for listening. May the Lord bless you and keep you safe. May the Lord lift God's divine countenance upon you and give you peace. May the Lord smile on you with a big smile and be gracious to you now and forevermore. Amen.